By staying in this meeting, you consent. Got it.
Should we be able to see this from our Facebook?
No, but I'm gonna send a link. You'd have to go to the actual YouTube to see it. But as soon as the link comes up, I will put it on the Facebook page so that everybody can go from the Facebook page to the YouTube link.
Got it.
I believe. I don't know. Never done it before, Story. This is the first time for everything.
Okay, it says that we're live, so
Yay! I don't see it.
And I don't see it either. So if we're really here,
Yeah, no, it definitely says live. It's live.
Yeah.
Let me click on this and get a copy.
So welcome to the Institute for Spiritual Development. Anyone who is tuning in and has found us here. Okay, and so be patient with us as we learn something new. You know, here we are in Oneonta at our Metaphysical Spiritual Learning Center and Spiritual Center, and we were about to go live on Facebook, but Facebook is not cooperating with us today. So we were not able to go live on Facebook. Something's not quite right. So if you're watching us on YouTube, we're coming to you from Oneonta, New York, and we're one of 4 chapters of the Institute for Spiritual Development nationwide. And we have been in existence here in Oneonta for 7 years. We teach a lot of classes, a lot of intuition classes, meditation, metaphysical classes of all kinds. And we have a spiritual service on the first and third Sunday of every month. And I am Diana Friedel. I am co-director at the Institute for Spiritual Development. And I'm also the director of the Shift New York Holistic and Spiritual Fair, Psychic Fair, that happens on April 27th and 28th of this year, of 2024. So that is also happening. I'm also the pastor as well as co-director at the Institute for Spiritual Development. So yeah, we're here today. I'm here with my co-director, Story Ducey, and who's also on the faculty, and the beautiful Renee Rank, who is also on the faculty, all also psychic mediums. And we're here we said what we're doing is ask me anything. So we thought it would be a nice opportunity for you to get a mini reading with us, get a psychic reading, ask questions about the programs we offer, anything that you would like to do. So last week when we did this on Facebook, we had several people come on and we kind of tuned in together and gave some readings to people. And one of the reasons like for me, why I'm so excited after my 22 years of doing psychic readings and having been trained in Lilydale originally, as soon as I learned that I could get answers intuitively to my questions after a little bit of tutorial, a little bit of classes, a little bit of meditation, things like that, I was like, man, everybody should know how to do this. How do you tune into your higher self or to your divine guidance to get answers? And so that's kind of why I teach. It's just very, very exciting. I did train in Lilydale as well as where I first became a minister and a metaphysician. And I also at Fellowships of the Spirit. And I also am now ordained minister through the Institute for Spiritual Development. The main one is in Washington, D.C. The other ones are in Sparta, New Jersey, and in Treasure Coast, Florida, where they have a study group now. So I just wanted to, Renee, is anybody finding us?
We have Allie. Allie's on with us.
Oh, Allie, thank you. She found us.
And she's sharing.
Oh, good. Oh,
she's
good.
helping us get ourselves coordinated. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. She knows she was waiting and kind of it's ready to help us out on the Facebook. So, did you put something on Facebook, Renee, and that directed people over?
I
Okay.
put the link on there.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Thanks.
That's how Ailey knew we were here. Hi, Ailey.
Yeah. Great. Great. Okay. So, Renee, if you want to maybe introduce yourself and, not only how you opened your gifts, but also why did you decide, geez, other people should know how to access these gifts?
Oh, good.
You're
Um,
called. It's a
yes,
call.
let's talk about Renee for a little while. So I unexpectedly lost my husband, and about a year after that happened, um, I went to Lilydale, and I think you just mentioned Lilydale. Now, I had never been to a medium. I had never really put a lot of thought into any of this, to be honest with you. I mean, it always had this slight fascination with, what we call the supernatural, right? I read books or stuff, but I didn't really think about any of it seriously. And so about a year after my husband passed away, I look at it now and got guided. I really did get guided to Lilydale for my very first mediumistic reading. And I left to Lilydale in tears and drove all the way home from the other side of Buffalo in tears. And then about 2 days later, well, that can't have happened the way I thought it did. But I decided I had to find out, right? I had to understand what was going on, what was happening. Basically, I tell people, if she could talk to my husband, I want to be able to talk to my husband. So I need to figure all of this stuff out. And so that kind of started me on my journey. And I started going to finding different mediums and buying books and looking for people. And I actually found a mentor pretty early in as things were really starting to happen for me. And then somehow I got guided to you guys. I found you in a holistic resources magazine, and I started taking classes and that's really the way it started for me. Now that the wanting to teach part, it's funny to me because I remember at one point you and your sister Sue were teaching a class on, or maybe Sue was teaching a class on teaching this stuff, teaching intuitive, teaching metaphysical classes. And I was like, I don't want to take that class. I'm not going to teach. What do I want to take that class for? But when I think back to the very beginning of my journey, as I started taking classes, I remember being in Lilydale for a class with Judith Rochester. And I remember Ken coming across to one of the girls that was there, my husband. He came across to one of the girls that was there. And it was so funny because this girl had come in with a friend. She kept saying, I can't do any of this. She made me come with her. I don't know how to do this. This is, I'm just here because she made me come with her. And on the second day, it was like a 4-day class. And the second day, I was waiting to get into the ladies' room, and she comes running up to me, and she said, "Was your husband Italian?" I'm like, "I don't know. He was adopted, so we really don't know what he was, but he looked kind of Italian." Anyway, she had seen my husband, she had seen, and it was all this stuff that I could verify for her. And I just started laughing because I said, this is really what I want to do. I want to help people to be able to figure out that they have this and they have this ability, and that it's not crazy, and because that's part of the problem. And I think you and I, all three of us kind of know there's still moments, you guys have been doing it for a lot of years. I've been doing it for close to 10 now. I'm going to 10. And there's still not a day that I don't go, is this real? Is this real? So when other people look at you like you're crazy, it makes you even worse because but it's not, and I think as I continued and as I stepped further and further and further into this, I began to learn that it really was about our divine connection. It's about something that we all have inside us. And it's just learning to let some of those walls down and really pay attention to what's going on when you start to recognize that you have this ability. And everyone does, right? We all just have it in different ways and different strengths and different aptitudes.
And what do you say before we go to story? What do you say? Because I know you had, and we all had different, completely different upbringings in terms of religion and spirituality.
Mhm.
And what would you say to someone who said, well, I'm a practicing Catholic and, it's really forbidden to see a psychic on, in my religion or, whatever their,
Whatever the religion is.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
And
you know,
allow the devil in. That's, you'll hear
I did have those concerns in the very beginning, only because of my upbringing, right? I was like, am I doing something wrong? Am I going to get in trouble? And I think that when you begin to realize that this is something that is of God, right? It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter if you have no religion. It doesn't matter if you're an atheist. This is something that is this connection to source. Regardless of whether you believe in a source or you don't, you have this connection. We all have this ability. Um, I you can't downplay people's beliefs. So if there is a fear component to it, you can't really tell them, no, you're crazy, because that's not right either. Right? You've got to let people kind of have their beliefs and figure their way out through the fear by themselves. I know that for me, I watched myself every step of the way. And it's funny, I was just thinking about this yesterday and today again too. And I've watched myself every step of the way, and I see myself becoming a better person as I step through this journey. So I know that there is nothing dark, that this is a divine connection. And I think that's what it's about, right? It's about empowering ourselves to recognize that we're allowed to connect to God by ourselves. And I know Story's smiling over there because there was a time I told the story about right before my first confirmation. I was in Catholic school. I went through 12 years of Catholic school, and I had the nun a nun walk up to me. I think she was like the vice principal or the principal or something. I don't remember now. But she walked up to me and she congratulated me about, wasn't confirmation, it was confession. I'm sorry. She congratulated me about getting ready to take that sacrament, the sacrament of confession. And I just looked at her. Now here I'd always been this very quiet, studious child, just really, really well behaved. And I just stopped in the hall and I looked at her and I said, the God you taught me about doesn't need me to go to somebody else to tell him I'm sorry. And yeah,
Oh,
that's exactly kind of the look that the nun gave me when and like I said, I would never have hoped I'm a lot of fun now, but back then I was like, so it just kind of popped out. It was just this automatic, I don't. And I think that for me is how I believe, but I'm not going to go and tell somebody else that
mhm,
they need to believe that way, right? If they
mhm,
actually
mhm,
believe that there's something wrong with this, I'm not going to be able to convince them that there's not. But I know from my own experience that it's a very divine process and very divine work that we do. And even my Catholic Republican father told me when I finally told him what I do, he looked at me and said, I know what you do. You help people. And I said, really? Oh, okay. Yes, I do. Okay. So
good, very good. Yeah, yeah, good. So I always tell people that, oh, well, if they say to me, well, that's not right to talk to, who are you talking to? And I say, well, who are you talking to when you pray? And do
mhm,
you get answers? This teaches you how to get answers, how to really form your own direct relationship with the God of your understanding, get those answers that you would like to have. So we have coming up in uh, December 30th a spiritual retreat, which is an opportunity to put 2023 to bed. Um, put all of your regrets behind you. If some negative things happen, put all of that behind you. Um, clear the slate to plant the seeds for the future, the year that you are intending to have. And really looking closely at what it is that you're trying to create for yourself in the future. And part of this fun, we'll be burning our regrets. There's going to be fire. We're going to burn regrets. We have several guided meditations where you're receiving your own images about yourself and answers to your own questions. And as part of this, we do psychic readings for everyone who participates. And that's on December 30th from 1 to 4. And both Renee and Story will be helping to give psychic readings to make sure that everybody gets their New Year's reading. So that's the opportunity today and maybe next week. So, Story, maybe you would like to go ahead. Go ahead, Renee.
I just wanted real quick, Ellie did ask us a question and then we can circle back to
Sure.
to Story. Ellie's got a question about her life purpose that she got in a meditation. Can you see that? Do you see the chat, Diana?
I'll try to open it here, but I'll see if I
Okay.
can get it.
Ellie, I'm just going to go in with an answer to you. So you received in the meditation, she received in meditation that her purpose is to be a healer's healer. And she's asking if you know what spirit says about a healer's healer and what that means. And Ellie, I think that's pretty simple. You know, I think we all do that in some aspect or another, right? It's us coming together and helping each other. So I feel like that's kind of the method that they're talking about, right? Getting together with a group and actually being able to help people who are helping people, right? It's like that physician heal yourself type thing. It's stepping into um those places where people need help. We all need help. Right? We need help doing this work. We need help understanding this work. So it's really holding each other's hands as we walk through this and helping ourselves find our way. So yeah, I think that's a great thing that you got to be a healer's healer, helping the physician heal themselves, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Renee. And I, maybe a little later, it's always interesting to find out, well, how did you get that? How did you, where did you
Yeah,
just,
she said she
because,
was at a meditate. Oh, okay.
yeah, and how you receive your answers as well, because everybody receives differently.
Yeah.
Story,
Let's
if you
circle
wouldn't
back to
mind,
Story.
introducing yourself and talk a little bit about whatever it is you feel guided to talk
Sure.
about.
Right. So,
And I'm
Story Doocy.
I'm just going to go check my apple pies. So
You go check your apple
Oh,
pie. We don't want that to burn.
there you go. So you're still on planet Earth, right?
That's
Still
right.
on
That's
planet.
yeah, so
We're
I'll
multi-talented. We're multi-talented around here.
Right.
yeah, and I'll be right
Multi-talented.
back. Okay.
I, well, I love teaching intuitive development because I believe it's a spiritual discipline. For myself, in reading the Bible when I was younger, and Jesus said, go into your closet or your bedroom and pray, and I'll meet you there. It was a great relief to me because it seemed to be there's so many levels between the church and God. Go to a priest is going to be between me and God. There's always something between me and God, or you and God, the intercession of the priest. Well, sometimes you need intercession, but we're a older generation now. I mean, the Catholic Church has been evolving for 2,000 years, the Christian Church 2,000 years, before that the Jewish Church, before that older Vedic traditions. And in all of them, the siddhis or spiritual gifts are mentioned. It's mentioned in Judaism, it's mentioned in Christianity, it's mentioned in the Vedic tradition, it's mentioned in the American Indian tradition. And in the American Indian tradition, they teach what the Judaic Christians might call the Holy Spirit. They teach that that's the good voice. You're just simply listening to the good voice, or what we call the voice of conscience. Yeah, that's the soul talking to us all day long. And people wonder whether or not we have a soul, but we have access. We know we have access to multiple voices in our heads. We know we can listen to negative voices of our own making or positive voices of our own making. And then there are times in everybody's life, no matter what gender you are, no matter what creed you are, no matter what culture you are, where you have intuitive experiences, you have an insight, you have a healing moment, a prayer is answered, or you manage to get through a difficult illness with prayer in a way that was greater than you understood, or your hands start heating up one day in prayer, no matter whether you're a Muslim or a Hindu or a Christian or of the Jewish faith, your hands are heating up because you're praying. Now, why is that happening? The tingling in our body, the heat in our hands, the shake we feel when we hear the truth, that's your spiritual anatomy ringing. it's your spiritual anatomy. It's the biological magnetic force field that we call our nervous system, is reacting to spiritual truths or being developed. So all of these things we experience regardless of the faith tradition that we're in, or even if we're agnostic and trying to figure it all out. Anyway, so for me, it's important because I believe once you understand, you have to understand who we are. And if you don't understand that you have your daily personality, but you also have a deep part of your consciousness that is always tuned into what we would call the all, or the group mind. People don't think of humans as having group mind the way we talk about ants and birds having group mind, but we do. And at the higher levels of that group mind, think of octaves, like the rainbow. At the higher levels, there are higher voices. At the lower levels are your lower voices. So the first question is, what are you listening to? And then who are you listening to? And very often, if you go back to your childhood, every one of you, you'll realize there were times when you seemed to always be listening and communing with a level of consciousness that was a companion. Some people saw that companion as fairies or childhood
Invisible
friends. Other
yes,
people,
yes.
right. Or other people could just, for myself, I always knew I was in communication with a chorus. I mean, I was always aware of thinking. I'm thinking, and different thoughts are happening, and I can manipulate my thoughts, and I can ask questions in this field of consciousness. Many children play with their consciousness. So in any event, that to me is part of who we really are, and bringing in that heaven to earth. So we would say in the Lord's Prayer, bringing heaven to earth is bringing this wisdom in and through the body into earth. And so in that way, you begin to understand that we're spiritual beings, energetic spiritual beings, not just physical beings. And then you can take it to the next step. We consider, it's why we also form ourselves as a church, temple, or sanctuary in a fully interfaith way, because we know that we also help assuage grief. And that's part of what we do with proving that there's life after life. So it's a serious discipline. It's not, we don't consider that. We may have fun, but we don't consider this a parlor game. We consider it a spiritual path. We consider it important for people to understand who they are and be empowered, especially at this time when we need to listen to our positive, more higher voices. We need to understand that is the divine in us. Everybody can dial into it and be part of this interfaith revolution that's going on with our oneness right now. So with that, do we have another question in the chat?
It's amazing. Not yet. No, nothing else yet. But yeah, I think you hit on some really amazing points there, and it's funny because I almost started laughing. There's days where I say that I feel like I flipped back to my child, because I remember having the invisible friends when I was a child. That was part of my, very innate part of my childhood, consistent. And I feel like I'm there again, as I walk around during the day having these conversations. But yeah, I think we turn something off at a certain point, a lot of us, as we reach an age where people start looking at you strangely when you're walking around talking to people that they can't see, and we change ourselves and we shut that down. And I think that your point about the assuaging grief, right, and helping with grief, and right now, the way the world is, there are so many people that are grieving. Well, more and more people are also starting to recognize this connection for exactly that reason, because I think it's those really tough times in your life. It's those really grief-stricken times when those walls just come tumbling down that we put up, and it's like, okay, here I am. I'm naked. I'm alone, and now it's time to start really stepping into who I am. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the whole world is going that way. I mean, everything that I listen to and my understanding is that everyone is changing and going, having more abilities open and awaken. So if that's happening to you and you feel like you're going crazy, like, what was that dream? Or did I really just hear a voice? Am I crazy? Reach out. That's what we're here for, is for people who are kind of waking up We're all going into more of a body, mind, soul, coherent, like all three together, so that we're kind of all moving together into more of a fifth dimension. So our entire beings are changing necessarily in order to keep up with the changes in vibration in the world that's happening right now. So that was one thing. And I just want to remind anybody who's listening, if you would like to have a reading, we are here to give people a psychic reading if you would like.
And if not, maybe when we get back to Facebook next week, hopefully.
Yeah, we will be on Facebook
We only
next-
have a couple people on with us right now. I think Haley might have just left.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And so maybe a little bit about the schedule coming up too. So we have several things coming up. If you're interested in kind of starting and maybe you want to start on Zoom, we have a meditation circle tomorrow night with Dale Capristo, who does the Mary Magdalene Circle, where they focus, and it's all on Zoom, so you can just join for free. It's on our calendar at isdoneonta.org, and she starts, I believe, at 7, and they go for like an hour on Thursday tomorrow night. We have, after this amazing holiday season, we've got on December 30th, on New Year's, spiritual retreat. And we've been doing this now for maybe, I don't know, 15 years, it could be, where we have a time. I lead it, and I have several other people helping me to give psychic readings. So you're also getting a New Year's message for the new year. As we put 2024 to bed, we want to put it behind us, not keep looking in the rear view mirror at our mistakes and our regrets and our upsets and our anger at people, but instead we want to leave that behind and go into the new year with a clear focus, a clear windshield. I always receive it when I'm doing a reading for someone as, well, what are you seeing right now through your windshield? A lot of times there's so much crap coming at people's windshield that the spirit will show me, well, they're not seeing clearly right now because there's so much, so we're kind of wiping the windshield clean on 2023 and moving into 2024, and then visioning for ourselves through guided meditation and imagery, what seeds do we want to plant for this year? What do we want to see more of? What would make us happy in 2024? So so we work on those things, work and play. I send you homework. So and there's so it's an awful lot of fun. We have cookies, we stay warm. And after the New Year's retreat on the 20th of December, Saturday, from 1 to 4:30, you can also attend that on Zoom. So you can, it's set up in such a way that there's a slideshow with some of the material that's being taught, which we share over Zoom. After that, on the 7th of January, there is a Intenders Circle, Intenders of the Highest Good, it's called, that Kimberly Windsor, our board president, and is a great spiritual teacher. Sometimes we call her the White Witch. She has so many different skills. She's amazing. She's going to facilitate this free circle in person at the ISD Lotus Center in Oneonta, or you can attend on Zoom as well. And that is on Sunday, the 7th of January, right after the spiritual service, which is also in person and on Zoom. So yeah, we have different people doing the homily each time, the message for our spiritual services. And this one, again, is going to be about stepping into the new year with care with Jaya Buckland, who is what would you call Jaya? Her background is more, what would you say, Story?
Buddhist, more of a Buddhist background.
Eastern, Tibetan. She's a
Tibetan.
good American, nice American woman who has become a specialty in the Tibetan tradition.
Yes,
a lot of us
that's
are
great.
mixed crossovers.
Yeah, so whenever she
Crossover.
talks or teaches, it's amazing. So we have such a big variety of people who come and teach. So back to the Intenders Circle on the 7th, so definitely all these different ways to move ahead into this year with much more intention and happiness, bringing into your life what it is that you want to have happen, and living life with joy. After the 7th, just off the top of my head, we are very excited to have Lori Solenston, who is a spiritual teacher in the Oneonta Cooperstown area. You may have worked with her before. She leads a lot of women's circles, and she is doing her soul oracle soul collage, and she leads you through guided imagery during the day. And this will be on both January 11th and January 13th. January 11th is a Thursday, so it's during the day. If you're not working on January 11th, you can join that one. On the 13th, it's Saturday, and those details of it are on our website. But I'll show you what I made. I did this with her, I think, in 2019. And it was so much fun. I said, oh my gosh, you're going to have to do this for us. She provides all the material, the canvas, the right kind of glue, tons and tons of magazines. And so you're kind of going through the magazines and picking pictures that are meaningful to you. She has you meditate on, and she's amazing. She's, she just kind of leads you down these paths where, what is your soul gift? What are you here for? You're kind of revisiting that, and then so you're pondering ways in which your soul gift, you can activate your soul gift in 2024. So, and on the back of this one, I've got my New Year's intentions. I glued it on the back here so I wouldn't forget, from the Intenders Circle from January. That we're going to do again on January 7th with Kimberly. So yeah, all the intentions. And so everybody in the group, there was about 14 people there, all supporting you in what you come up with as your intentions, and both what you're grateful for and what is your intention. What are you working towards the next day? So a couple of them I accomplished. Replace
Check those off.
windows.
Check those.
Did it. Yeah, I went through and checked them off, the things that we had done. A new rug or flooring in TV room. Hasn't
that's a very practical thing. Yeah, but even small manifestations.
the way to bring the spiritual and the physical together.
Right, exactly. Small manifestations.
All manifestations, the small, my immediate environment. So she prompts you with all these questions, my immediate environment, my larger purpose. So all of these things get you thinking in that way.
Well, one of the things I enjoy about the Institute for Spiritual Development, whether you work with us in person or over Zoom, is that we come from a variety of different spiritual traditions, and we share the strength of that, and we share our experiences, and we find and celebrate the common ground. And these spiritual gifts, these intuitive gifts, are part of the spiritual anatomy of all of us. All humans have this, are wired for this, which I find great hope in. It means eventually we'll understand that we are, in fact, our brothers and sisters keepers. One day we'll get that. And part of this understanding, I know some people consider metaphysics a game, or metaphysical organizations kind of airy-fairy, and it isn't. It's some of the most serious pilgrims and seekers that have come from a variety of traditions, gone through a lot of human experience, found these gifts, share these gifts, and lead very practical lives as well, like making sure you can get your pie out. And so we try to also be very grounded and not airy-fairy, and which is why we have these programs, the Intuitive Development Program, to find a peer group. You work in a development circle, you find out in a development circle, if 2 or 3 people out of 5 are getting the same image, it means there's something going on, and you can confirm in a group. So you're not just feeding off of one person, and it's easy to think that that's fiction. So that's why we're an institute. We seek to have opportunities where people can experience these gifts, or gifts of consciousness in action, and then say, oh, that must be how prayer works. Oh, it means I really could send healing energy to somebody. Oh, that's why my hands heat up when I'm in intense prayer. Oh, that's why my body starts moving when I hear the truth. That's my spiritual anatomy. So we're all wired for this work. We're meant to understand this work, and it will make us better and stronger people. We're meant to become heaven and earth. We're meant to become these hybrids, and we're meant to throw off the ignorance that there's separation.
And I
So
would
you'll find
I'm
pilgrims
sorry,
and
pilgrims
it.
and like-minded people. And I was just going to tag on to that. Um, it's so important when you are unfolding your gifts. Like maybe you are aware that you had something when you were 5 and you had imaginary friends. And I don't remember that myself. I don't feel like I had anything at all, like zero, until I started to search on my own after I lost my son, Jamie. When he was 5, he passed away very suddenly. So, in looking for answers, that was when I started to look for answers. And then I was looking for, well, who does teach you how to connect with the other side? Who does teach you? Well, we are those people that teach you to unfold your own abilities that may have been there your entire life. And from time to time, it's one, you have an inkling of it, or it's stronger at some point than another. But with this group, you are unfolding your gifts in a safe way. You're not just kind of going like opening up to the universe, and all of a sudden there's a vortex, of all this stuff coming at you. Because sometimes that's a fear. Like I'm going to unfold too fast and I won't be able to handle it. So, but if you're in a group, you are, even if you're doing Zoom with us, a lot of our classes are Zoom. You've always got people to ask, is this normal? What should I do about this? How can I shut down? I didn't mean to open at that. What does this dream mean? How does this fit in? So all those things. So Renee, I'll let you talk about the intuitive development program too, with lead into that with what you were about to say.
I think, what both of you said is 100% right. And when I raised my hand, when you said that about, moving too fast, because I am the perfect example of that. I tell the story about on my way to Lilydale that very first time getting pulled over for my very first speeding ticket ever. And I didn't realize there was a metaphor behind that, but I did. Once I had my mind set it, I was like, I'm going. What I understand now, and I didn't realize at the time, was that this work does involve vibrational changes too. I mean, you physically have to kind of change, because you're going from this slow pace, this kind of heaviness to this higher vibration, and it does physically affect you. So you don't want to move too fast. You want to learn, you want to slowly try and integrate things, because it's a whole change. It's a whole change to your way of seeing things, the way of seeing yourself, understanding how things work, understanding how the world works. But to Story's point, I mean, I think we see nowadays also that there is more science backing this up, right? We look at quantum physics, we go, wait, I don't understand a bit of that, but I know it's what I do, right? So all of that stuff happens. So even when I talk about the physical changes I went through, we know our cells move, we know our cells vibrate. So vibration is a part of who we are. And when we go from this slow pace to this quick pace, there's going to be things that change with it. And just understanding that you're not, the first mentor that I had before I found ISD, I drove, I think, 4 hours on a Sunday, and I think I paid her double to have a reading, because I was like, I think I'm going crazy. I need help. And she's, let me tell you something. She said, crazy people don't ask if they're going crazy. And I said, oh, good. Okay. But you have those questions. You have those, is this real? I don't understand what's happening.
Right.
So finding people who can help you to understand how this works, and that this is natural, and kind of calm you down, put a hand on your shoulder, go, it's okay. It's going to be all right, is very, very helpful. and being realistic too, right? Because there is so much there's so much fear out there, and there are things that, you know, there are a lot of classes and a lot of psychics and a lot of groups out there who will try to help, but maybe don't help the same way we do. Right? It's that, you know, it is that difference that we all have, that I think you had mentioned, story, that you know, that we all have these backgrounds. We come together as this cohesive whole, and we can help people understand better than just, you know, just this one narrow path of this is what this means. And yes, so our
Bridge
intuitive
builders.
practitioner. What's that, story?
Yeah, well, we're bridge builders. We're bridge builders
Exactly.
between
Exactly.
different planes and different traditions.
You know,
And
the
they're
more that
needed.
I do this, the more I think, if there is a, you know, I remember when I first told my father about doing this work, and he said to me, you know, I understand you help people, but one of the other questions he asked me is God a man or a woman? And I went, I don't know. I don't think I've gotten to that lesson yet. But, you know, the more that I do this, the more that I believe that, you know, the ultimate understanding of who God is really is like this tapestry, this quilt, and we all see the patch that's right above us, or that's covering us, that's keeping us safe, but everybody has a piece of that quilt. So if you don't open up to all of the traditions and everybody's beliefs, you're never going to be able to get that full picture, right?
So what happens sometimes is that many times people have spiritual experiences in their traditions, and so then they think, oh, only Lutherans got that.
This
Oh,
is the only way it
only
works.
Jewish people
Well,
got
that's what I was
that.
talking about with
Oh,
the other
only
classes
right,
too. Yeah, yeah.
right. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. No, you get more spiritual when you realize the oneness, and when
And
you
that
realize,
it's not something
right,
outside of yourself. And
right,
I think, you
right,
know,
right.
that's one of those things that as you get further along, you begin to recognize that, you know, this energetic stream that we're all a part of, that you talked about, story, is something that we all have, and it's all part of us. Right? It's not, you know, God isn't this great big thing out there somewhere, and our loved ones aren't floating around on clouds, you know, throwing things at us, going, "Come on, I'm up here, I'm up here." Right? There's this, they're part of our energetic stream. It's just that we're used to seeing from the limits of this body,
Right.
and not recognizing that there's so much more to us, and that we're part, you know, our loved ones, our ancestors, the angels, the guides, the, you know, whatever it is that you believe in, it's all part of our energetic streams.
Well, in all of these, you find everything we do and teach is in the Bible. Everything we do and teach is in the Vedas. Everything we do is in every
The Quran.
sacred tradition, and now in science. You know,
Yeah.
so there's something here, and the good news is it is God. We are all part of. You know, we're all part of it. And one day we'll stop fighting over the name of God, or who can be a disciple and
Or
who
who's right or
can't.
who's wrong, or who's right or who's wrong.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's very important to really, study the intuitive nature, because it helps you grow. It keeps your spiritual path growing. You grow into the next life. It helps you get through the slings and arrows of this life, and it helps you be a stronger human being. And especially now, we're going through this initiation in the power of our individual mind from our own living rooms, affecting the entire world. And we need to be strong and know that that our prayers for peace and our prayers for protection are powerful. Our prayers for sanity,
Yeah.
just to control the mind, to put out thoughts of seeking sanity and peace for everybody, instead of these lower thought forms. That's a disciplined use of the consciousness.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, we remind everybody, next week we're back on Facebook. We won't have the app problem that Facebook was having tonight.
We're hoping.
Yeah,
Bring
One can only hope.
yeah.
Do join us live next week, and come to do and bring your questions. Come to a meditation class, and I'll pass this to Diana.
And this group assembled here is teaching the meditation class, and we start our intuitive program with meditation because meditation isn't isn't just to relax. People always say to me, "Oh, I can't let go of my thoughts. I can't relax. Oh, I wish I could. Maybe I can't do it. I can't do it." Well, this teaches you how to do it. And once you become a little more motivated when you realize that that you get answers. And, when you start to meditate, the very first time meditating in a class for me was about going in for answers. And I started to pick up on things. And that's how you do it. That's how you pick up on things about someone else, about someone else's life. And it's like, well, if I picked up that woman is in a 12-step program. How did I know that? You need to get your own proof. And that was just by going into meditation. So if you're getting answers about somebody else that you had no reason to know, that's what meditation can be used for too. And it's meditation, becoming good at that, not only advances your soul and helps your blood pressure and will help you get better when you're sick faster, but you start to be connected to your divine guidance, higher self guidance, and you get very quick, certain guidance for your own life and for others. I always used to use it for my boys when they were growing up. So
it's about clearing out the wires. Because I think Story mentioned that too, right? She talked about the lower voices, right? We know we all have this ability to connect, and when we're all in fear and we all have this stress going on, like we have going on in the world since COVID, and it just has continued. There is an energetic component to that, and it does weigh us down, right? So meditation helps you clear out those wires. It helps you kind of raise yourself a little bit higher so that you don't feel so bad, so you can kind of get past some of the humps. And
yeah. The slings.
And I didn't think it was something I was ever going to be able to do. I was like, yeah, I know, because this mind goes constantly.
Yeah.
But it is.
That's the beauty. The beauty of meditation is you help people understand they do this all day long. They work in their field of consciousness all day long. You just meditation you slow things down enough that you can observe what you do anyway. But you learn then to do it
good
with
point.
control.
Yeah.
Right? You learn to do it willfully and with control.
Step yourself back a little bit. Yeah.
The Buddhists call it mindfulness, or Christ would say, watch yourself walk by. It's the watcher. It's the,
becoming the observer.
It's the observer, right? Which is part of our God nature. And if we take it to the next level, is we grow just as our human bodies grow from infancy to adulthood, and there are stages. This other stage of uniting with the higher mind is a stage we are all meant to master. That's bringing heaven to earth, or uniting the higher mind, the good mind, with the daily mind, and say, oh, that's me. And I don't need intercession. I just need to keep following that wisdom voice.
I don't have to go to God to say I'm sorry. I don't have to go to the priest to tell God I'm sorry. You're right. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, and some people would consider that problematic, that we're full of hubris. No, I think we're full of humility and recognize there's a higher order. You have to be very humble to be a good messenger, because they put your ego away. I mean, that's part of what we do with ISD. We're not all trying to come out and be the best psychics and have, a bestseller by next year. We're trying to really be spiritual disciples from all spiritual traditions at this place in time, helping everybody unfold these gifts and give each other spiritual counsel, guidance, and protection.
The healer's healer, like Yali had the message about, right? We're here to help each other. And you're right. And hubris, it just becomes, I think it becomes a point where it's no longer about, I'm striving, I'm trying so hard to get to heaven. I just want to be the best that I can be while I'm here on this journey. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I don't know what's going to happen 10 years from now. But I know I feel better trying to be the best person that I can be from day in and day out. And that's something I never thought about until this journey, right? Because you start to clear out and you start to recognize that, if I can be the best I can be, then maybe I can help someone else lift up enough to start being the best they can be, and so on and so forth. Then you never reach the end. You're always trying, right? You're always working at it.
But
Well, and the second you realize you're telepathic, you really get it that you're telepathic all the time. That's where the clearing comes out, because then all of a sudden you go,
Could they hear me say
you
that?
mean
Oh
I
no,
can't carry-
exactly.
I can't carry those conversations and those double conversations. I
Yeah.
can't be two-faced and say, oh, hi, Sheila, how you are? And then say negative things about Sheila in my mind while I'm talking to her. That's a falsehood. So
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
once you understand you're projecting everything you think, it motivates you to practice the discipline of self-awareness.
Why would I
So,
even
and
have
that-
thought that to begin with? Yeah. And I remember that as a kid. I remember walking down the halls and, if I saw somebody in something, then I was like, oh, look what they're wearing, and in my head, because I would never have said that out loud. But I do remember thinking before, what if they could hear what I was thinking?
Yeah.
that's
It would
it.
make them very upset. That's
Yeah.
not very
And then-
nice.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, let's we'll
Anyway,
wrap up.
join our conversation. Yeah, join
yeah.
our conversation.
That's right.
Everybody
Come
can
join
Study
us.
with us.
So maybe people will listen as they're wrapping their presents. I actually got my presents
Excellent.
wrapped, if you can
Yeah.
believe it. And join
How
us.
was your pie? Did you rescue your pie?
Oh, it's the most beautiful 2 pies that
Two
you've ever
pies?
seen in your entire life. They are
Well, you
gorgeous.
might have to go bring them in before we sign
Yeah.
off so everybody can see your
I
pie.
could bring one to show you if you want.
Yeah,
But,
go ahead. Okay, go show us the pie.
That's
Okay,
all right.
all right.
That's all right. Share your pie.
It is
Anyway, come
Christmas
get us.
time.
It is Christmas and
Yeah.
Hanukkah.
Yeah, and
Hanukkah.
so look us up at you know what I'll do? I'll post a picture of it on if
There you go.
people
There
want to
you go.
know.
Right.
I'll post a picture of it certainly on my page and maybe on ISD
All
Oneonta
right. Eternal wisdom and apple
And apple pie.
and apple pie. And
That's right.
so we'll see
Spiritual
you.
truths
Oh
and
no,
it's
it's
food for the
apples.
mouth.
Oh my God, Eve's making a pie. Watch out. Oh, all those apples.
Okay, so
All right.
have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, everybody. I hope you have some quiet time and some fun time. And we'll see you next Wednesday,
Happy holidays.
5:30.
Merry
Ask
Christmas,
me
happy Hanukkah.
anything back on Facebook, so you really can come and get a reading from one of us. So yeah,
Right.
so
Or two of
Stay
us.
strong.
ISD only on
Okay.
Facebook, yeah.
All right. Okay. Goodbye.
Had